What's important is get with a professional to talk about what is going on in your situation and what your options are. Once you know those options, that fear lowers. Welcome back to another episode of All or Nothing in Real Estate. I'm your host, Matt Smith here, founder of All or Nothing in Real Estate. We have a very special guest, Chris Morrow. Chris, say hi.
Hey, thank you, Matt. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, Chris, excited for you to be here. So today, Chris, let's dive into this real estate market. There's a lot of changes going on. There's a lot of craziness going on. Let's just dive in and just have some conversation and share some of our knowledge with the people. So you said I'm a pro at doing this. Would you believe me if I told you my very first sales job? When I started, I had to make my calls or prospect. I was so nervous. I would grab my list. I got in my car, drove in Walmart parking lot where no one parks because the parking lot's enormous.
Yeah.
And I would go and I'd look around, make sure no one's looking. I'm like, all right, now I can start calling people because I was so scared. I didn't know what to say. Like my face would get red. I'd talk really fast. And so it's not that I'm a pro at it. It's just that I've done it enough and worked through that fear, right?
Yeah.
It's just repetition.
No, I had the same thing because I remember when I first got in the business in '03 and we were in it was like call center atmosphere. And there's probably 20 people on the, cube center where I was at. And they kind of threw me to the wolves though, man. It's like my second day on the job, know nothing about mortgages. And they gave me basically a sheet, looked like it came from the yellow pages or white pages. And I was like, here, just make your phone calls. And I stared at the phone for an hour. And finally the guy next to me, Albert, was like, dude, you gonna make phone calls or what? I'm like, yeah, and after I made the one phone call, it was done. I knew what to do, and I had no fear anymore. But getting that one phone call out of the way with, I think my palms were sweating.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
It's like, oh my God. But I'll never get that just because I've never been in that type of atmosphere.
Yeah.
But I love it though, man. Nowadays, I could call anybody. I don't care.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just because of that repetition. That repetition builds confidence.
Yeah. Right.
You just realize whoever you're calling, guess what? They're just a person.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's the hardest part about sales too. Is it's the rejection part is how do you get over that? Yeah. And now it's not to say I have a shield of armor. It don't bother me. My feelings don't get hurt. But at the same time, you have to move on. Yeah. Move on 100%. To the next one. And
every no is a step closer to your next yes. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
You have to get through the no's to get the yes. So if you can train your brain to be excited when you get a no, because that means you're closer to your next yes.
Yep. So we used to have training about stuff like that all the time. And I kind of maybe part of the reason why I made that phone call, and I still remember this, I tell this as a success story, is that Mr. Johnson, Gary Johnson, I'll never forget the guy because it was probably my second year into it, but called him, he hung up on me. Yeah. And it was call night. We had Tuesdays and Wednesday call nights from 5 to 7. And I called him, he hung up on me, and I called him right back though, and I go, hey Gary, this is Chris, sorry, my phone disconnected on you, sorry about that. And he goes, no, I hung up on you. I go, why'd you hang up on me? And he goes, because I don't want to talk to you. I go, well, why would you not want to talk to me if I'm calling you to help you save money in your mortgage? He goes, well, what could you do for me? And
boom, there you had him.
And it was literally just like that. And we only talked for 10 seconds. He goes, I'll be at your office in 2 weeks on a Thursday at 1 o'clock.
No chance that guy's showing up, right?
He did.
That's
and
crazy.
I wasn't there. And I actually was at my new apartment my wife and I had just gotten, and I had actually just dropped her off at the airport. Yeah. And my good colleague Joe Budd gives me a phone call and he goes, hey, you got some guy named Gary Johnson here? I go, who? And I forgot about him. Yeah. I only talked to the guy for 2 minutes. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, man, he's here. And I go, all right, well, I'll hurry up and get up there. He goes, well, I'll just take the application with him. But I ended up talking to Gary later that day. We went over all the application. Long story short, I ended up refinancing the guy 3 times and did a purchase for him. Yep. And, I haven't talked to him in a while, but still at the end of the day, if I would have not made that phone call back to him, I would have never had those transactions in the future. And
that was when you were brand new to the business. How much did that help you get started?
Oh, absolutely. It just gave you, all kinds of, positive energy, and just knowing that, obviously is that him coming in and actually doing the refinance with me it was just huge. But at the same time, a good stepping stone for me to tell other guys too, is that don't let somebody that tells you no just to give up on it.
That's right. Well, sales skepticism is at an all-time high in the world we live in.
Yeah.
I read something, there's 11,000 impressions or interruptions thrown at us as a normal person on a daily basis. 11,000.
Yeah.
Of course, when you call someone, they don't want to talk to you. You're one of 10,999 other people that are trying to interrupt their day.
Yeah.
And so if you just don't give up and provide that value, like ultimately, obviously you were able to help Mr. Johnson because he refinanced with you. And then you built that relationship, and that one person turned into 3 more clients.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, what was perfect about that scenario too is that, and I don't remember the refinance program, but it was a very, up and down market at that point in time, and banks were coming up with these creative ideas like pay option arm was the interest only loans.
Yeah.
And, part of the loans that got us all in the trouble and whatnot. But at the end of the day, though, we had different options. Just like now, we're creating different options for buyers now. Like a 2-1 buy down. It's like, everybody, they need to know their options. And Gary didn't know about that, and he did do that special program. I don't remember what the program was, but it was a particular refinance program that helped him save a lot of money per month, and it helped him what he needed at that point in time, but he didn't know about it.
Yep.
As soon as I went over with him, he did it.
Yeah.
So it's all about education. So
let them know their options, and then it works for some, it doesn't for others. But if you don't know, you don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
dude, I love that. That's a great story. Like, I never heard that before.
I love that just because, again, I share it with a lot of people because it in sales too is it it's just one of those like don't ever give up.
Yeah.
And because I could have just been I forget how the saying the tail between my legs. When Gary hung up on me and like calling him back. Like I'll be honest, I called him back because he hung up on me.
Yep.
Like what a jerk! I'm gonna call this guy back and just not to be a smart ass or anything, but just to call him back and tell him that my phone hung up on him. But it was just funny because I hung up on. He was just like a grouchy old dude.
Sure.
But and the fact that he showed up. I mean, bad on my part that I forgot to even be there. But I honestly didn't think the guy was going to show up. But it was just one of those good stories, and management shared that story with lots of guys, like the newbies that came on board. Like don't let someone that says no to you, put fear in you. Just keep on picking up the phone, keep on dialing.
No means no for now.
Yeah.
A no is just because they don't have enough information yet.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's because they don't have the information.
Yep.
Some of the times it's because the information isn't relevant for them,
Yeah.
but most of the time they just don't know all the information that they need to know in order to help them through whatever their situation is. Like I have a similar story. So I teach everyone. Mm-hmm. If you get a hang up, you call back immediately. So it's so funny. I never heard that story before.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I just lost connection. Like that's exactly what I teach everyone to do because I've sold 3 homes to 3 separate people from that exact thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's because 2 of them, they didn't hang up on me, they lost service. Mm-hmm. Right? Like I could have assumed they hung up on me and they didn't want to talk to me.
Yeah.
But I called back because I'm proactive and want to see how I can help them. And it's like those little things will transform your business, transform your life, and the person you're talking to. Like how did those refinance help that client? Like it probably transformed a lot of things for him.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you wouldn't have called him back, he would have never had that.
Exactly. No, it's just, getting him back on the phone and having that time to explain to him what I can do for him and getting him to listen. He listened and, it all worked out in the end. But it's just crazy if you can get him back on the phone and, how things work out.
Too many people give up too early.
Yeah, absolutely. So
you have to have grit to make it in sales.
Yeah, definitely.
Determination and grit.
Definitely. It's actually one of the other things, just like remembering like the, days of when I first got in the business is that newbie, loan officers would always ask me is that, what are you doing differently? And, a lot of times I joke with them like, well, I'm not out there doing 10 smoke breaks and, doing the things that you do. I actually pound the phone and smile and dial, but more importantly though too, is that I make phone calls at night, weekends, I found out in 2004 I was having a kid, so it kind of put a big foot in my butt and said, hey, you better start working really hard. But in the end, it all paid off. But regardless, is that I found that Sundays actually was a better day making phone calls to people than a Saturday.
Dude, so crazy.
Yeah.
My prospecting day when I was a rookie was Sundays.
Yeah.
Everyone else was taking the day off.
So
not me.
Yeah. So, but I also found that on Saturdays, people are always doing their catch up, doing shopping. And if you called them on Saturday, you catch them at a bad time.
Sunday's a lazy day.
Yeah, and you maybe get them at a bad point, and it'd end up being another Gary Johnson where they maybe hang up on you. But I found out on Sundays it was more like a relaxing day. People are more calm, they want to talk, and they want to know their options.
100%.
So it all worked out for me. And I'd tell people that I'd make phone calls on Sundays. Like, dude, you're crazy. I'd never call anybody on Sunday. That was my best prospecting day was Sundays.
The third house I ever sold, my phone rang on a Sunday. I was out front playing with my daughter. And my phone rang, And at that time, like I didn't have any choice. Every time it rang, I had to answer it type of situation, right? And so that desperation served me. And so I teach desperation. Desperation isn't a bad thing. So I was desperate enough to answer the phone. And I had the conversation. They said, we've tried to call 4 real estate agents. Nobody will answer. We are cash buyers and want to buy this house. Can you show it to us today? Ended up that wasn't the house for them, but they ended up buying a different house. And I asked them, I said, so I just have to ask, I'm a new agent. I told you guys I'm a new agent. What made you choose me? If you're willing to come meet us on a Sunday to take time away from your family, you're the kind of person we want to work with.
That's awesome.
That serves other people if you're willing to have that work ethic. So there's 2 sayings that I say a lot. Work works. Too many people stop doing the work. So I said 2, there's going to be 3. I love quotes. So work works. Too many people quit doing what works because it works. Like you have a little bit of success making phone calls. And you stop making phone calls because you're glorifying your own success. You're reading your own press clippings. And so you have to remember what got you here and keep doing more of that. And then my coach, John Cheplack, says it. He simplifies it down so well. Success is simplified by doing the next right thing right. That's it. That's all you got to do. Do the next right thing right. Quit trying to overcomplicate everything. That next phone call, do it the best you can. If that one doesn't work, do another one. The next right thing right. Dude, this is great.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
I love that.
Dude, that's an amazing story.
Yeah, man. No, it's.
You're going to call him on your way home tonight, aren't you, Mr. Johnson?
No,
hey, I talked about you today.
I haven't talked to him in a long time, but no, I haven't talked to him in years, but still at the same time, like.
You should.
Yeah.
You should tell him, like, did you know I tell your story? Like, you should.
No, he knew that because, I told him that probably like the second refinance or whatever, I share like that story and like, he thought it was pretty cool. He's a retired old dude. So anything to, kind of perk him up a little bit. But no, he definitely knew that. But I haven't talked to him in a long time. I mean, honestly, I'd be wondering if he's even alive still because he was way up in age.
Gotcha, okay.
But he did share with me though, like, as far as like, we were talking about this earlier, is that, when inventory is low, prices go up. And he's the one that was brought to my attention the very first time from him because he lives in Kirkwood, Missouri. And Kirkwood, which you know very well, Kirkwood actually is an area in St. Louis that prices, like when they go up fast, Kirkwood's one of the first areas that go up real fast. And he was talking about in the 90s, like how, values plummeted at one point, but then they skyrocketed. Like it's like a constant yo-yo in Kirkwood. He kind of shared that with me and I didn't really understand it very well, but now I very much understand it being in the mortgage business for 19 years, but still like when inventory is low, prices will always go up. And, but we'll see, like this is a tough market we're in now. So it's like, what's it going to do this time? Because I think inventory like is going to get, obviously I'd like to think that inventory is going to pick up, but then at the same time, like if inventory stays like it's been the last couple of years, is it prices, are they still going to go up and up and up and up? So it's interesting.
We'll see where the dust settles, right? I don't have a crystal ball. Wish I did.
Me too.
I would own a lot of properties right now if I had a crystal ball knowing what I know now, right? But it's real estate has always been a great investment historically.
Absolutely.
One of the best, one of the most secure. Are there ebbs and flows? There's cycles to everything in life. Look at the stock market right now. When the real estate market was doing this, what was the stock market doing? It was going down, right? So there's cycles to everything. I think long-term real estate is always a smart play.
I think right now is even a great time, like we've been talking about. I think right now is just, if you can find the right house and have the right options, I think it's a great time to buy.
100%. So it goes back to the options, right? People need to know that they have options, and I think a lot of people get in that when they're uneducated or they get confused or they get the fear from mainstream media, right? There's all of these things that go into people being indecisive. And I don't know about you, but I look back on my life and nothing great has happened by not making a decision. There's always a decision that has to be made. Another thing one of my coaches taught me is not making a decision is still making a decision. You're deciding not to decide. So you can't get out of making a decision because you're scared, you don't know, like there's fear of unknown, there's fear of what could happen, fear of change, right? All those are real. But I think what's important is get with a professional to talk about what is going on in your situation and what your options are. Once you know those options, that fear lowers.
No, I think also too, because I've talked to a couple of buyers here recently, is that, the biggest thing is them not knowing what their options are right now, but also too, they think that there's a cost to know what their options are. And if they all knew that it was free to talk to a real estate agent, that's free. Talk to a loan officer, that's free. And at no cost. And you can know all your options and know whether or not this is a good time for you to buy or not. And that was probably the most interesting thing, talking to a couple of buyers in the last couple of weeks, is that a handful, well, what's it going to cost me to know like what my options are?
Makes me think we should start charging them, right? Just kidding.
Totally kidding. No, I know, but it's funny is that they think there's a charge for that. And it's like, man, I wonder how many more people think that way, and because they're not maybe going to find out because they think it's going to cost them something. You know?
So I know that we offer free consults. I know that you do. Free pre-approvals. Like it's just a value that we provide to the marketplace as just a way to give back, right?
Absolutely.
You need to know your options, especially in today's market, and we're happy to help any way we can.
No, I agree 100%.
Well, thanks, Chris. Thanks again, man. This has been a great chat.
No, definitely. I appreciate it, Matt. Thank you.
All or nothing in real estate is a movement. This is a way for us to give back. It's a way for me to give back to the industry that's given so much to me and my family. All that I ask is one thing. If you got any value from this episode, share it with a friend. This is a movement to give back to others. So share this podcast, share this movement, wherever you're watching or listening. Share it with a friend, because this can help them too. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you more than you know, and we'll catch you next time.